What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more garbage from the 2001 album Beautiful Garbage. Thank you as always to Phil, as well as to Mikey, who's been commenting on most of the garbage reactions. I'm never going to stop laughing at that. In any case, the next track is Drive You Home, which is a social or interpersonal gesture that is typically something positive, though the context, even if that is the case, can be quite different. You can drive someone home because you went to some party or some event together. You can drive someone home because you're having a nice connection and you want to, number one, be helpful. Of course, it could also relate to driving someone home because you're feeling an especially strong connection and maybe there's a desire for intimacy, which of course could be physical, but it might be more than that. You could drive someone home, however, because they are intoxicated and shouldn't be driving themselves, which again can be helpful and indicative of the affinity you might hold for them, but is also contextualized in the sense that it relates more to their inebriation than a necessary connection that might be transpiring or later to take place at that home. So yes, I do wonder if it is positive and which of those or some other scenario it might relate to. I suppose you could drive someone home because you don't want to be with them anymore. You plan to go out together and then perhaps there's some negativity and you know what, I'm just going to take you home because I don't want to deal with this, but that seems a more unlikely interpretation, and of course it might not relate to any of those scenarios. Let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Garbage. The track is Drive You Home and it's from their 2001 album, though once again this is the 2021 remaster of Beautiful Garbage.
It's funny how even now you still support me after all the things that I've done. You're so good to me, waiting patiently. And isn't it sad that you still have to ask if I care? And never said I was perfect, but I can take you away. Walk on shores tonight, can't do right tonight, and you can't say a word 'cause I need down your throat, so I've tied mine. I never said I was perfect, but I can drive you home. I got down on myself, working too hard, driving myself to death, trying to beat out the faults in my head. What a mess I've made. Sure, we all make mistakes.
plays at the end there. Wow, what a song. Number one, Shirley sounds great on that one. And there's a couple moments where it's like the emotional nuance, even pain, it overtakes the pristine melodic delivery, I think quite intentionally, but there are many moments where she just sounds so perfectly in the melodic pocket. And there's a soft delivery, there's a very gentle touch to her performance on this one vocally, which I think very much fits what is a very complicated emotional tune. In one way, she's cutting herself down, which I think she did make reference to specifically, saying that, isn't it sad that you have to ask if I still care? And look, I've made so many mistakes that now, what was the line that followed that? I forget exactly. She said, everyone makes mistakes, but now there's been so many. There was a line that followed that I can't recall in the moment. But she's saying, number one, I never said I was perfect, but she feels like she's let down this partner many times to the point where the other partner is openly questioning if she even cares. But then she's also saying that maybe that's what it was, right? Like, I've made so many mistakes that now people, and there was like a they, and I didn't know, like, wait, is that just other people in this social group? Is it her parents? Like, I wondered who that reference of they was to. But it's like now they're, sort of assuming that I must not feel pain anymore, because how could I behave in this way or make these choices or just act in a manner that is letting you or maybe other people down so much that, like, I must not care. But she's implying that she actually does still feel pain, and she's sort of broken up about the way that she's not living up to expectations. Again, most specifically or narrowly in relation to this other person. So yeah, it sounds like she has not behaved in a way that she would want, or that an ideal rendering of this relationship would dictate, but also that she's suffering too, even as she maybe regards the other person as suffering more. And then again, there's this reference, well, like, still, I can drive you home. So she's trying to manifest some physical indication of how much she still does care, or that she does still care in some way or on some level. But as I said, by the end, it's like she's still asking or maybe receiving the gracious act of the other person driving her home, which again, it doesn't seem like there's any inebriation or intoxication involved. I suppose that could be implied or, just assumed, but it seems more like this is a way to show that you do care and that you are still connected interpersonally. So yeah, as I said, it feels like a very emotionally nuanced song, and I think that nuance comes through in Shirley's vocals, but a very beautiful tune, a sort of light and airy track sonically, and I think the guitar just has that gentle touch that some of Shirley's vocals do. So there's a symmetry between the vocal performance and the sonic atmosphere of the track, which has maybe a bit of a contrast or a surprising turn in terms of the lyrics being much more complicated and complex as I took them. So again, do let me know if I'm missing some crucial details here thematically / lyrically. But yes, I very much enjoy this one, and it had a much less intense and driving character than a lot of their tunes I've heard up to this point, which is to say, we've heard definitely some sonic variety from them, including tracks that had a heavy thematic basis, but sonics that were a bit more smooth and soothing. But yes, this one is a far cry from their, alternative rock meets electronica sonics that I was familiar with on some level before I began this deep dive. So yes, another cool garbage tune. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.